Garden Report. Celtics lose to the Bucks. Hard to focus a ton on this game, knowing what's coming with the trade deadline on Thursday and wondering whether this is the last time you see this team in this form and whether that's a good or a bad thing. And that's going to kind of be the debate, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a ton tonight. We'll spend some time on the game, and then we're going to get into, obviously, the trade deadline, which is hours away at this point, and whether the Celtics will, should, what's going to go on there. But let's start with this game. 24-point lead. They whittle it all the way down, have a shot to win or tie twice in the fourth quarter, which is about as much as you could ask given the situation. In a normal season, guys, and under normal circumstances, a game like this would obviously be a check mark in the positive category. It's really hard to do it with this team because it just is kind of just another reminder of how frustrating they are. And I don't know. It's hard to take, like I said, it's hard to take away positives here because of what led up to this point where they did come back in the game, giving open threes, falling down early, just looking like a dead team, and then great push in the second half. So I don't know. Do you view this as more positive than negative that they came back in this one? It was just another frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it right there. It's more negative because it's this pattern that just the Celtics can't get out of their own way.
Can't play 48. Yeah,
it's the exact same thing we've been saying after these losses over and over again, and we're sounding like broken records here. At this point, it's like, listen, the Celtics look like the team that were playing catch up all game long up until the fourth quarter, where they decided for things to click. But that wasn't even the case on the defensive end against this Bucks team, in my opinion. I feel like they just couldn't string together stops, whereas that was the difference between coming within two and pulling ahead completely. Because when you're missing those threes, they go a long way. When you're in transition and you can't keep up with the Bucks, whether it's an open three in the corner or whether it's someone's cutting down the middle with ease, like the Celtics defense just continues to be ineffective in those areas where it's like open threes, transition defense. It's the same thing over and over again. Whereas in the fourth quarter, you're seeing them correct some of those mistakes by picking things up offensively, but they're not getting out of this pattern that we're continuing to see. So yeah, I think you nailed it. 40 plus games into the regular season, this isn't a moral victory whatsoever for the Celtics team.
I think they did a better job than you did defensively, or you thought they did defensively, Josue. I mean, they held Giannis to 1 of 5 in the first half, 4 of 11 on the game with 13 points. The three-point shooting staggering. They started 10 of 19, but they finished, 7 of 18? So they did much better stopping that in the second half. I thought Grant played some good defense for them. I'm feeling good about the effort here, going from within 25 to 2. Now, ultimately, there were a few decisions on the stretch, the turnover, the Theis 3 that ultimately ended it that are frustrating. But overall, this is probably one of the better defensive efforts I've seen from them all season. That's without Tristan Thompson. That's without some of the other guys that could factor into that.
Just
I mean, this isn't the Memphis
Giannis
Grizzlies, guys. This isn't the Magic. This is a championship contending Bucks team. Maybe the best offense in the league.
When Giannis is going off, you take advantage of that, Bobby. You have all your guys.
You got to win the Giannis only scores 12 points game.
I mean, that's talking offensively where they were not good tonight. But I'm thinking defensively, they did what they needed to do. The offense didn't give them a chance to win this one between Smart, Tatum having a really rough game.
I mean, you want to be if you want to split hairs. The Bucks scored a point above their average on the season, and the Celtics scored 9 points above their average on the season. So you would argue that they played better offensively than defensively.
They gave up a ton of threes in the first half. I'm not freaking out about that.
It's a lot of
50% from the floor. They drained 14 threes. I mean, honestly, I thought it feels like they drained 19 or 20. So I guess you got a point there. I'm surprised it's not closer to 17 or 18, but they shot 50% from the floor. I mean, they didn't look rattled whatsoever. Yeah. No, I don't agree with that at all.
They wanted.
The Bucks were comfortable completely. The entire game up until that last 2 minutes, they were comfortable out there.
Yeah. Jimmy?
Am I having audio issues, guys?
No, you sound fine. I don't know what's
going on.
Jimmy, go.
Going on? All right, good. I was going to say, I was kind of...
But you sound a little faint and distant, so I want you to bring it a
little
bit.
Faint. Yeah, I don't know if it's just because the loss hurt you so much,
or just get a squeaky, angry little voice there, Jimmy. I want you to
I'll put my headphones in. My microphone might
belt
be
it.
Put some bass in that.
let me just say this at first. Bobby, I was on the Bobby train when he started off. I think if Theis hits that shot, we're talking about how, they showed fight, they showed some effort that we've been looking for, they showed some, passion. I saw on Twitter some people were trying to like spin the smart Theis thing as like a negative, but I saw it as a positive. I saw, two guys, into the game and trying to make a comeback, in which they did. So I give them all the credit in the world. The Theis shot didn't fall; it was wide open. I'm not surprised it didn't fall. He's been kind of, I think he's hit one of those shots all year. Possession before that, it was Marcus Smart again taking the shots when, you're looking for Brown or Tatum to do so. Kemba had the hot hand in the second half there. My issue is with the defense because I thought they just came out flat. In the first half, they gave up 70 points in the first half. And you're going to say that you thought this was one of their better defensive efforts. You have 70 points in the first half. I mean,
they gave up 10 threes. I mean, this is an elite shooting team. That's just going to happen, especially when you're packing the paint on Giannis.
Okay, but like don't commend them for their defense. They ended up giving up 120.
I'm talking about the whole game, the whole product, all together.
Bobby,
I think it was solid.
If the Celtics are giving up 70 points and Giannis didn't go off, like that's not good. Like,
if the game was
right,
lost,
then you had a bad game plan. You shut down Giannis, and you allowed 70
what the F
points.
happened, right? Like,
well, Jimmy's beloved Pacers, who were supposed to be the darling of the East, gave up 140 on Monday, and Giannis didn't even play. I mean, this offense is
again, Bobby.
World beater.
Are we doing participation trophies here? I'm confused. It's not abysmal, but it's not commendable either. I don't think. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. They played. I guess at the end of the day, it was close enough to win, but I mean, they had to, claw back from 25 down. Otherwise, the Bucks did whatever they wanted all game long. I mean, it was. I don't know that there was a lot of positives, but you're right. The turnaround was spurred by a little bit more defensive pressure. They did make them a little bit more uncomfortable. And when they started to get into that lead, when they got it down into that 12, 10, 8 range, the defense definitely in that spell had turned things up a little bit. But I mean, on the whole, over the course of 48 minutes, I'd say they played horrible defense for 36, 38 minutes and played pretty good for 8 or 10. And that's hard to, I mean, I'm not giving them a pat on the butt. 40.
Yeah, I'm just going by context. Giannis is averaging 31 over like the last 15.
You're just cherry picking stats, Bobby.
Bobby, you're literally looking. See, that's the thing, and that's the problem with a lot of people do this. You're looking at it as the Celtics against Giannis, and that you can't look at it that way because the Celtics have to be able to capitalize when Giannis isn't playing. They have to be able to capitalize when everyone is healthy, and at least the offense was clicking. I mean, listen, I give Grant Williams a lot of credit because he came in there and he got more minutes. I think maybe because it was when Shemi got hurt, maybe not, but he took advantage of it. Either way you look at it, he took advantage of it. He did a good job of getting out there to defend the arc. So did Robert Williams on those pick and roll switches. Daniel Theis a little bit as well. I thought some of those calls again, same thing, right? Some bad calls for Daniel Theis, with those personal fouls for sure.
Even that last shot, Brooke was kind of up in him.
Defensively, that's true. But defensively, I mean, listen, I want to see this team do this for 4 quarters or do it for 3 quarters, 3 out of 4. Like this whole, we're going to slack off for 3.5 quarters and try to pull it together. And try to win the game. This just doesn't work all the time, especially against a team like this.
I think the play that stuck out to me as the story of the game on the defensive side is Rob getting left on Giannis at the top of the arc there, Grant creeping in a little too much, and Bobby Portis getting an open 3 on the right side there in the second half. I mean, Bobby Portis is shooting 48% from 3 this year. Are you going to live with Giannis going right at Robert's neck down the hole there? Is Grant going to creep in and give up an open 3 to that guy? This team's so good offensively. Everybody shoots. Even Giannis on some nights can hit his threes. I think relative to what they were playing, they did a good job.
I don't know how we're saying it's an offensive issue. Celtics shot 48% from the floor and 40% from 3 with, I just don't know how we're looking at the offense as a reason that they lost this game.
I'm looking at the way it's coming.
The only problem I had in that fourth quarter with the offensive execution was just 3 consecutive threes out of that timeout. I just didn't like it. I know the last one went in, which was huge, obviously. The Tatum one, I don't think this game even comes down to the way it did if it wasn't for that. But I just didn't like that approach. You come out of a timeout. Again, we've been saying this all season long. When their back's against the wall, when there's 2-3 minutes left to play, all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have to start gunning for threes. And I hate that mentality for this team. Regardless of who they're playing against, it's the same approach, whether it's the Bucks or whether it's the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, I thought that was the ball game right there, and then they actually fought back from it when they
survived it, right?
When they survived that, because it went from you could have gotten it down to 5 and it turned into 11. And I thought that was it. And they did make their way back from there, which was, again, commendable, because I thought that's where they'd lost it. And it was, again, it was a smart 3, which was the first one early in the clock.
I know you hated that one.
And DiVincenzo comes back and makes his one. Then Kemba comes right back out, and Jackson early in the clock 3. I thought that was it. And then they did it. I mean, again, you want to quibble the late game execution again. And this is going to be a story, particularly tonight, particularly because we don't know if this is Marcus Smart's last game. But again, you've got these Marcus Smart late game situations where, I mean, a 3, fine, it's a good shot. But again, the 2 possessions there, Tatum and Brown, and Jimmy, you texted it. Tatum and Brown don't even touch the ball late in the game. And again, I'm not putting it on Smart. This is the stuff we got to get annoyed with Brad about. Like, how are you running anything late in the game and you don't at least get the ball into Tatum's hands early in the clock? It's baffling that that's the case. And it happened twice. And then you have Smart driving the lane into the trees and getting blocked. And thankfully that's going out of bounds. Then you have Smart throwing a terrible inbounds pass with 2 seconds left into
Giannis's hands.
He's lucky that he didn't just steal that in the game right there. Like,
the amount of things he did late there. He's like, these are the games and these are the things.
Sherrod said
I'd be crazy with Smart, and it would suck if that's the last impression fans have of him, because obviously that's not what he's all about. But this was that you want to rip your hair out Marcus Smart sort of game. And then he makes a great pass to Tyson. If that goes in, he's a hero. So you're right. The narrative could have changed pretty easily, because that was a really good find and a really great look. And you're not going to do any better with 1 second to go and no timeout on an inbounds play. But it was
wild. I mean, yeah. They didn't even cover Theis like on the inbounds. I don't even know if that was like I don't even know if you can credit Smart for that. Like, I don't know what the Bucks were doing there, but Theis was completely uncovered the whole time. But you're right. I mean, if it goes down, it's a different story. But I thought Kemba Walker was maker in the second half, and I'm not going to give him all credit because he was a no-show in the first half. He
was great in the second half, and I was crapping all over him in the first because I didn't even know he played. And then he turned it on.
Right, but that was the biggest. That was coming to an end, right?
He's going out blazing.
That's John. Yeah. That's John's hot take.
He's running out of time. He's using all his makes right now.
Yeah, I think he's toast. No, but I mean, thank God for Kemba in the second half, right? Because Tatum's still in that friggin' dizzy funk or whatever. I mean, he didn't have it tonight. Jaylen played 5 minutes and then stopped playing too. I mean, not really, but. He did all his damage in the first 5 minutes of the game. They didn't have a lot going there, and Kemba saved them completely in that second half.
He's great against the team.
And he's like the, I don't want to say heartbeat because I don't know if they have one, but he's about as close as you can get. To when he's, they pretty much go as he goes. When he's not playing, we all know how they look, and when he's not playing well, we know how they look. When he is playing well and driving to the lane, kicking it out, hitting his open shots. They just seem to kick it into another gear. It's a lot to ask of one guy, and you shouldn't have to because you do have the Tatums and the Browns and the Smarts. But for whatever reason, and there are many of them, those players have not been able to, and Kemba too, they just haven't been able to string it together for stretches of time. Together, separately, 48 minutes, 36 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. They're a completely different team depending on, what time it is during the game.
I'll say this on Smart too. Sherrod threw this out there when he was on, I think 2 shows ago, but it's developed further since. I mean, they're 2-6 since Smart came back. They're 11-14 with Smart on the season. I know there's been other guys going in and out throughout those periods, but it's not all about health. It's not all about availability as people keep throwing around. When they've had a healthy roster this year, I think of that Spurs game that was a disaster. They've had some really bad losses with their full team intact, essentially. And I think they've missed Thompson a little bit, but not enough to be losing this many games. So, is Smart really the solution either?